there's a lot of confusion between being and becoming. In fact, it's a well-known fact that to know that being and becoming are one is what enlightenment or awakening is all about. That's clarity. Knowing that the two are inseparable, they are one. So today let's explore that. And I have a few questions that are challenging, so if we participate it would be wonderful. From this booklet that you can take on the table, there was a question, and it says this: can you explain how time, which is the becoming process, is reconciled with the being or timeless now, which is of course love, peace, and all the truth that we know. So so how are we going to start? I'd like you to picture the following, because when we visualize, you know, it reaches the heart a little bit more, understanding. I'd like you to visualize the following. A child is being born. Now see it alive in you, okay? The child is innocent. He is pure being. He's looking at the world through total innocence. In fact, he doesn't even know he has a body. So he is pure being. So the child starts to grow and he starts to walk. But the moment he starts walking, he begins to bump into things, into objects in the room. And he falls and starts to cry. Is it the child that is crying or his body? Feel it out, please. You will see that the child cannot suffer, because the child hasn't got an ego yet. He hasn't identified with the body yet. You see, and this is to be understood. What is crying is the survival instinct creating a response mechanism in the vocal cords to confirm the happening at the moment. So many times, if we react to an action, to an emergency, we find almost the body acts on its own. Okay, that's the trigger of the survival instinct. That is not you. That is embedded in the body's mechanism. And to know the difference, because we're going to understand between being and becoming. Now, the moment the child, you see, the child could be crying, and the moment the mother looks with love and everything else, all of a sudden he can start laughing the next moment. There was no suffering. There was just a reaction of the body to the given moment. But when the child is given a name, Mary or John, and he starts feeling his body, and they keep referring to him as the body, then what happens is that the impressions and the experiences of the body become collected and become thoughts. Thoughts are impressions of experiences that we've had in our experience of life. Okay? Those are impressions. Now the moment the child identifies with a thought and makes it his, we call it an emotion, motion of energy. So in order to understand becoming and being, please understand this one simple secret. Everything is motion of energy. Everything is under movement. Because if it wasn't, you couldn't see, you couldn't hear, you couldn't experience. Everything that you see and experience around you is motion of energy. But that which creates the motion is invisible. That is eternal. That is the divine. That is the infinite. And that is the nature of the child, which all of us are, which is called pure awareness. But the moment you become aware of something, which of course we call the human mind, that something becomes real to us. And that is how suffering starts. We identify with the becoming, and of course we forget the being. You see? Now the point is not to forget the becoming, but to see that being is behind it all. Being is all that there is, and it appears as becoming. If we start grasping this, what an incredible jump we make in our consciousness. So, now what is becoming? Becoming what? Okay? The moment the child identifies with the body, he starts a becoming process. The becoming process has one drive. I want a better life. I want to be better. Do you understand? This is the drive of the becoming process. But if you are true to yourself, you'll find that all your life you wanted to be better. Better than what? Better what? What is better? You see? And then you'll find that all your life you wanted to be better. You couldn't help it. You want to be better than the other guy in school. You wanted to have exams, A's, rather than the guy who had B's. You want to be better in the track and field. You wanted to be better looking. You wanted to be better. Period. But you will find as you grow older, and hopefully wiser, you'll find that all my life I wanted to be better. I'm still the same. I haven't moved. Why? Because wanting to be better never gets better. You see? What a shock. Sometimes we think that realization is pleasant. If it's pleasant, it won't last. Pleasant realizations, which happen very often, they won't last. You'll forget them next week. But when it's a shock, that's what realization is. It's a shock to your system when you realize, I am just presence. I am not this body. I am not Burt. I am not Elaine. I am not Dara. I'm just this. And this is always. This is infinite. And it's a shock because you don't have a name. In truth, you don't have a country. You don't have a nationality. You, who you think you are, is not just a memory. You are this light. You see, in truth. But then a question arises, you mean to tell me that I have to forget my memory, what I've done? No, that's the becoming. But what is important is the being. You see? Now when we talk about being, I'd like you to picture, because pictures have a wonderful way to illustrate, teachings. I'd like to illustrate being. Picture a bicycle wheel, okay? Now the bicycle wheel goes round and round and round. It spins at great velocity. The faster you go, the faster it spins. But there is one thing in the wheel that doesn't spin, that doesn't move, and that it keeps the wheel going. It's called the center, the space in which all the spokes converge. You see? But there is a space in the middle of that wheel that makes it moving, becoming. But the center, which gives it life, which makes it possible to be diametrically, to be perfect in its action, is a still point. It's been said that even a cyclone, hurricane, has a center which is still. Everything comes from that still center, from that being. You see? So whatever we see as a becoming, it's all coming from being.